gentlemen, boys and girls, good luck and welcome again. Thanks for coming this afternoon. It's nice to see so many people here. We're still here to celebrate the first flight of Peter 50 years ago. The whole project has been a great success over the years, and I think it's worth spending a moment remembering all the people who've made it possible, both from Hawker Siddeley and from subsequently British Aerospace. I would therefore like to hand those a toast to all of you guys, all the Hawker's people. Now, Andy Lambert is videoing this, so you all need to know that you're being captured on film. If you want to see it, then it's on andysvideo.com on YouTube, I think. So feel free to look at what's been going on afterwards. Right, having toasted to all these people, here's one of the best, Mr. Chris Hodson.
I wouldn't say that. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul. Well, thank you, everybody, for coming here today. And we're all here to celebrate ZA101, or as Dunsfold called her, G Hawk. And obviously, this is the very aeroplane that is G Hawk. I took the picture there from a sales brochure, and it's entitled "Just to Remind You," which I thought was quite apt. You can't see it in the light, but it's there. If we can get this to work. Ah, here we go. So where did G Hawk get made? Kingston and Dunsfold. Fuselage itself, even though the Hawk was built elsewhere around the group of Hawker Siddeley, that is a Kingston-built fuselage, nose cone and rear fuse. Many people ask me, did it fly in primer? The answer is no, because the picture there shows it in its two-tone brown and a light blue underneath. In the background, you can see 154 and 161 T1 Hawks going through their trials. The aeroplane first flew on the 17th of May, and it was flown by Duncan Simpson. This colour picture of the aeroplane. Once in the air, the aeroplane did a lot of support for the back end of the T1 development prior to delivery. Delivery of T1 being November the 4th, 1976. And you can see there a weapon load on it. And there you can see the colours of the two-tone brown and blue. First scheme. Another duty of demonstrator aeroplanes for Hawker Siddeley was going to air shows, Farnborough, most notably there, Paris. I believe it was the only company that had the Hunter, the Harrier and the Hawk as demonstrator and indeed civil registered aeroplanes, military aeroplanes. Fairly early, around about 1980, ZA101 and G Hawk gained some red flashes. There was a prize to be had, and the red flash was to encourage a potential customer to select the Hawk. And there was people there that's sure in the audience. ZA101 went transatlantic. It made 3 trips in total, and it flew VIPs and a colossal number of people in the States in all the trips, all 3 trips, and you can see the interest in the aeroplane. It's quite noticeable, and we're in an area of Hawk which is the 50 series. So there was only one 50 series Hawk built, that's this one, G Hawk, but the whole 50 series aeroplane is synonymous with the 851 engine. So they all have 851 engines originally, and Kenya, Indonesia, and Finland, 51s, yeah, bought them, some 90 aircraft. Has to be put back to work, and the real business didn't know how to land a Hawk on an aircraft carrier. So the guys at Dunsfold painted the runway, got a mirror, and tried giving it a go to land a Hawk, US Navy style, on Dunsfold's runway. So some of the guys here in the audience flew those sorties, proving that a Hawk could be put on an aircraft carrier. Some modifications which came later. Now, there was a theory at Hawkers, didn't like spending money, and we needed to prove the success and the export potential of the aeroplane. So I think it's fair to say anything that could be flown on G-Hawk was flown. 1,000-pound bombs, sidewinders, 190-gallon drop tanks that you can picture there. So the idea was to clear it and just fly it. Some mods, probably, I doubt if anybody I'll be interested to see if anybody in the audience knows about the chaff and flare under the rear fuselage behind the air brake. Now, it made it this far, so parts were made. It was put on the G-Hawk there and trialled. Later in life, we all know the chaff and flare got put on the parachute box above the tail cone, which did cause some drag concerns. But that idea wasn't carried through. I honestly don't know why. And this picture, yes, believe it or not, you have a Sea Eagle on the centerline station, and I think they're ASRAM on the outboard pylon. And that was flown on G-Hawk and, in fact, a T1. It's quite remarkable, isn't it? You have to blink twice to see that load underneath it. And yes, it didn't just do loads evaluation and aerodynamic work in clearing different stores, supporting the export customers. It could fire ordnance for real. And there you can see G-Hawk firing rockets down there. Looks rather spectacular. Now, times were moving on, the engine was changing, and the advent of the 60 series Hawk was here. So that had an 861 engine in it, and an opportunity was taken to upgrade G-Hawk into a more or less 60 series standard aircraft, which was current on the day. It was painted in all gloss white, and in fact the branding of Hawk was changed, and that's where you see the logo coming in of the Hawk bird on the fin. Then, of course, advent of a 100 series Hawk. Now, 100 series Hawk was going to introduce data bus, a laser rangefinder, and chaff and flare. So an aerodynamic shape had to be created on the company demonstrator airplane, and there you can see the nose being put onto the aircraft in the flight shed at Dunsfold. Now, the small short nose is underneath there. It's still there today. You can see it if you take the avionics doors off. What we did was we put frames and picked off every other rivet on the original nose, and then built the new shape nose on top of it. Now then, that nose, this nose, isn't the final nose. It actually grew, I think, a further 9 inches to account for a colonel in the UAE Air Force that flew a Jaguar with tick and fleur in it. Tick and fleur and the box on the day didn't fit that nose. So Pinocchio's nose, as it got nicknamed, had to grow. Yeah, so it grew another 9 inches to accommodate the UAE, who was the first customer to accept a 100 series Hawk. So that was a Mark 102. But you can see there this aeroplane supporting the trials. And that's the first flight of ZA101 with its new nose. And it's an interesting photograph because it has the blanks in place for the Smurfs, the side-routed mount vanes on the side of the fuselage in front of the tailplane. They're blanks, but no vanes. The aeroplane at the time, which was supporting CL Max trials in support of the T45 contract, was 156. And there you can see 156 with an export standard wing on it, and also the Smurfs on the back in front of the tailplane. So it first did the support for the US Navy on the CL Max trials to assure people and find out what was necessary for the T45. Again, parts of its role was supporting public displays. And this was Operation Roll Call, where now BAE, or British Aerospace it was still then, put up the latest of all their aircraft. So you can see Tornado, ADV, IDS, GR5 I think it was on the day, Harrier, Sea Harrier, the two Hawks, ZH200 and the ZA101G Hawk, followed up in front by the EAP, European Experimental Aircraft Programme, forerunner to Typhoon. And some of you may remember this. I count this as the last picture of the two aeroplanes taken at Dunsfold. It was used as a Dunsfold Christmas card, as a by-the-by. I think it was a remarkable achievement that we managed to modify G-Hawk and prepare it for its next tour. ZH200, the aeroplane after the loss of ZH200, was put together in 8.5 months. One hell of a group team achievement to replace it. The deal from the main board was, yes, you can build it. It took a lot of persuasion. How are you going to build it? And it must be at Paris the following year. ZH200 appeared at Paris the following year. And really quite a satisfying picture, that is, was a tour supported by Dunsfold, and clearly you can see where it is, Sydney Opera House, and both aeroplanes flying there. They travelled some 13,000 miles. There are some hell of a stats on this tour. And I think there was only one sortie missed of touring Middle East, Far East, Australia, etc. A remarkable achievement from a totally Kingston and Dunsfold support team. It was brilliant. Some of us knew that after that tour, they weren't returning to Dunsfold. Flight test was moving to Warton on a group called FSDG, Flight Development Support Group at Warton. So on their return, they came to Warton, both aeroplanes, and continued the flight testing. They did a lot of envelope trials with weapons, increasing the envelope and verifying the Dunsfold work, because we have a long nose on it, so it was aerodynamically different. Also, it did further work in support of the T-45 program, where a lot of questions were being asked by the Navy at this time. And that led ultimately, after OPIVAL in T-45, to what was known as the Big Five mods, of which one was a slatted wing, so that the CL Max, you could approach the ship at a slower speed, and the characteristics of the stall were more predictable. Then a layup came, and you can see there the new bits, different fin, RWR, and what we all know as the 7-station wing. So it put wing-tip sidewinders on the aeroplane and kept the inboard and outboard and centerline pylon. So we know it today as a 7-station wing. That was G-Hawk's original wing, so it was retrofitted to make it the wing that you see there. It wasn't a wing change. And there you can see yet another colour scheme done. This was done in support of Farnborough, 1990, and export customers from, shall we say, sandy countries in that colour scheme there. The orange box in the rear seat was used primarily as an instrumentation box. Dunsfold used it, and Warton continued to use it to record flight test data. I put that in just because it's a nice picture, actually. Nice study of G-Hawk, ZA101 and ZH200. Only reason I put it in. Now it got painted again, and yet again another Far East or Middle East Far East tour. And there you can see, as it is now known at Warton, ZA101 only, you can see the aeroplane in its new colour scheme. And again, supporting air shows, etc. That was taken at RAF Chivner in 1992, displaying its Sidewinder fit, and I think there'll be 130-gallon drop tanks on it. Then it moved into a secret program out of the south side at Warton. There was, on the day, it was very, very hush-hush. They took a T1, nearly life expired T1 Hawk, and did similar things with it. We had to supply the canopies and windscreens for it. And there you can see it in its low observability colours, with flying against various radar images, etc. So you can see it was useful for trials there. Incidentally, and it's complete by accident, the Hawk has a very low radar image because the engine's buried and there's not much frontal area to it. So it's actually quite small to find on a radar. It was very good in the Thursday War because it was hard to find the incoming threat, which in that regime is the Hawk. The problem with the Hawk in that regime, simply at sea level, not fast enough. And Archie Neal was the pilot. This is the flight before its last flight, which took place in February 2005. And there you can see it acquired the colour schemes post the low observable trials, as you see it behind the screen today. Now, the aeroplane really had served its time. Aerodynamically, it had done its work, and in the early days, the avionics was the accepted standard. However, digitisation had come in, and BAE Systems decided to build a demonstrator, ZJ100, which was a true 100 series aeroplane for further avionics and integration development work. Then a second aeroplane was built, ZJ951. This was a fully FADEC engine, 951 from Rolls-Royce, and that became the Advanced Hawk, which flew some 22 times before the Hawk line closed. The picture's quite interesting. In the front of that aeroplane, it has what you know as a wide area display, and the pilot is flying it from the back. There's nobody in the front. It was deemed to fly it that way round for evaluation. And as I understand, Walton had to fly it over the sea, not over land. So ZA101 retires. Its flying days, sadly, over. The picture there, it was put to use for EMC trials over the south side of Walton. And then later in its life, it was moved to the training academy at Samlesbury. And the right-hand picture shows ZA101 all jacked up, training pupils on how to function and operate an aeroplane. Wow, January 2019. BAE Systems, and there was, again, a lot of people in the audience here had a lot to do with it, to secure the future of ZA101. And clearly there is an ambition to put ZA101 with its stablemate at Dunsfold, G VTOL, or ZA250, here at Brooklands. So there was a lot of discussion, a little bit of persuasion, I dare say, to bring it here. And that's how you see the aeroplane here today, which was in fact gifted to Brooklands. I had to put it together, and there you can see we had a spare wing, which was, some of us knew, was only going to be temporary. And the engine, we found an engine, and we slowly pieced ZA101 back together again, which is what you see here today in front of us. And there, the ceremony at the official handover date was the 15th of April 2019 here at Brooklands, where the aircraft was gifted to the museum. You can see some gathered people going. Some of the folks are here today. So externally, it looks very complete, and we've spent a lot of time finding bits and pieces and trying to make her complete. And maybe, if somebody's agreed, we can put some functionality in the aeroplane. Now then, what happened to the original wing? Well, ZA101's job wasn't finished. So this is 2021-ish, 22. Have to look the date up. ZA101's original wing was mocked up with slats and made to look like a later 100 series aircraft. And the wing was put on ZJ100 and taken to India. So the wing was painted in, I guess, an agreed colours with the Union Jack and the Indian flag across the aeroplane, with the thought of India either producing or taking up the idea of a 100 series Hawk with new avionics. That wasn't to be for a number of reasons. but the wing went to India. So again, we had to chase down the wing and refurbish the wing. We managed to get the wing out of the organisation, and there you can see the wing which was prepared, painted its original blue in the configuration as it last flew. And here we're swapping the wing over around on the Brooklands track, and yeah, by God, did it rain. You can see us there taking shelter under the newly fitted wing. I have to say, the team that did it, we changed the wing, packed up, and got the aeroplane ready to go to the flight shed in one day. It was a good effort all round, I thought. Very good effort. And we had the bits, no shortages, eh? Can't be bad. And here today, you see there the aeroplane in the configuration that it is, with its original wing in front of us. So there you have it. As Paul was saying, it's a Hawk story in one aeroplane, really. If you go and look, a 50 series development, not much different, bit of wing dressing, etc., different avionics to a T1, right the way through to the latest Mark that was produced. This aeroplane had a part to play in the Hawk family, which is remarkable. No two ways about it. You can see the whole Hawk story in this aeroplane. And I'll leave that with your thought.
And now, there's nothing that can knock me down. I'm gonna take whatever comes around. Together, frown and turn it upside down with a smile. Today, no matter what comes my way, turn it into something I can celebrate. I'm gonna give the world a shake with a smile. Take the time to celebrate.